Hey, Jordan, it's Trevor Gross from CUTigers.com. You've gone up against some great offensive lines in your time at Clemson. Just how did that Notre Dame O-line compare to some of the ones you faced?
But Notre Dame has a great lineman, great offensive line in general. They all work well together. They're very experienced, and they're a veteran group. I feel like that drives that team. They're really a backbone for that team, and I feel like they were probably one of the better O lines we played this year. Probably the best O line we played this year, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
How difficult of a loss was that for you to swallow? Compare you haven't lost much in your career, obviously, but you got to go back 3 years to your last regular season loss. How does that compare?
I mean, losing is definitely a tough thing to do, no matter what your record is, how long it's been since you lost. Losing is definitely a tough thing to do when you're on a team full of competitors and winners. And I feel like it's something that is a part of the game. You know what I mean? You can't just hold on to it for too long. We got to move forward. Eventually, like life is going to go on. We're going to have another game. Saturday's going to come. We're going to be playing a new opponent. So it's something that definitely hurt in the moment, but we got to move past it and go back to work.
Jordan, Larry Williams of TigerIllustrated.com. Can you just describe what it's like to have the number of injuries that you guys have had on the defensive side of the ball? It's just kind of absurd.
Right.
What's it like for a player as it's happening?
I mean, yeah, it's definitely been tough. You know what I mean? It's something that also is a part of the game. Injuries happen, but with us, we're just in a situation where we've had a lot of our injuries happen in a pretty like a span of time where it's something that we just have to deal with. We definitely can't make any excuses about it. That's why, as a defense and as a team in general, we try and create that depth to where the next man up can be able to come in and there shouldn't be any drop off.
Normally, you guys are accustomed to having a lot of rotations and fresh bodies late in games. I'm just wondering, when you so many players who are pushed to play more than normal, how much of a factor is that in some of the mistakes that pop up, or I guess popped up most recently, late in the Notre Dame game?
I mean, we do have a lot of young guys. We're a very young team, but these guys are the same guys that are in the meetings as the veteran guys. They're the guys that take the same amount of reps, the same reps that the veteran guys take. So it's to a point where we have to be ready to play. When your number's called, you should be able to go out there and be able to execute and know what you have to do. Mistakes are a part of the game, but you got to be able to, it's how you respond from these mistakes. You know what I mean? But as a young team, it's something that we're going to have to deal with and work with and grow and learn from.
Jordan, it's Trevor again. There have been so many games in the past that have been kind of left up to the defense. Those close one-score games in which the defense had to get that stop either on a 2-point conversion or a last-minute drive, what have you. And it seems like every single time you guys have answered the challenge and been able to get that stop. Was it that much more difficult against Notre Dame, just being that you were in that familiar situation and maybe as a result, in part because of the injuries, that you weren't able to get the stop?
I wouldn't necessarily say it was for like the injury. You know what I mean? I told you we don't try and create any excuses at all. We got what we have, and we're ready to go out there and be able to execute. Like you said, later in the games, a lot of the times it does come down to a defensive stop or a defensive stand, and I just feel like throughout the week in practice and preparation and camp, spring ball, and stuff like that, we stress ourselves to be ready for that situation. So when our number's called and when it's our time to go out there and execute and get it done, that we can go out there and do it.
Jordan, as you look at film of Florida State, what stands out to you, particularly about their offensive line? I think they started 4 freshmen on Saturday at NC State, but what about their offense stands out to you?
Their offense, Florida State's always been a talented bunch, and they have a lot of talent, a lot of athleticism, and they have a lot of great key components. I feel like what stands out to me is that they're a fast team. They're very fast, particularly in the quarterback. And as watching it on film, it's just a lot of things that stand out that show that athleticism and that speed that those guys have.
Do you feel like Jordan Travis, you talked about his athleticism, is he somewhat similar to what y'all had to deal with Ian Book at Notre Dame?
Definitely. I mean, I feel like Jordan Travis is a player that is a great runner and has the ability to make a lot of plays with his legs, and they use him a lot as a runner. So, I mean, I don't know if you can really compare the two, you know what I mean? But I feel like Jordan Travis is a very athletic, very fast, very, very wiry guy.
Are there any more questions for Jordan?
Yeah, Jordan, Larry Williams again. What have Tyler Davis's spirits been like, I guess, just from your feel of it, just as he's dealt with all this over the last few weeks?
Right. I mean, as a young player, Tyler's been through an awful lot this season. You know what I mean? But his spirits have been great. He's been here every day. He's working, and he's definitely working to come back. But he's still around. He's taking on a role as like a coach and like a leader in the team, and it's definitely something good it's like a blessing in disguise almost for him to take this kind of role as a leader, because with a lot of the older guys, the time running out, Tyler's going to be here, and we're going to need to find that new leader, that new guy that's going to try and help control the defensive line. You know what I mean? But his spirits have been great. He's been here every day. He shows up. He works his butt off in treatment, and he's definitely working to come back soon.
Is Tyler more is he as soft-spoken, Jordan, as he seems to be with us, with the media during our interviews with him? He just seems to be a real quiet, not a man of many words, but is he more gregarious, I guess, with his teammates?
Yeah, he definitely is. Tyler's a guy that he jokes around with us a lot. He's a guy that's very outspoken with us, but as a leader, he's not, like you said, he's very soft-spoken, so he doesn't really, is not as much of a vocal leader as he has been. But during this time of him being out, he definitely has developed into a vocal leader and like an on-field coach type of guy. You know, he's always calling out corrections, calling out mistakes, telling guys what they're doing good and doing well, which I think is going to be very important. You know what I mean? I feel like there are different ways you can lead, but the vocal leader, I feel like every team has to have one. And Tyler's definitely starting to develop into a vocal leader.